Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Source Code Sasquatch. And on today's tutorial, we're going to talk about the very popular framework Python, Django. We're going to be using Django for our very first project, mainly because I want us to dive right into the subject, touch a little bit of everything, and Django has become the go-to framework for web developer due to its powerful and flexible features, making it an excellent choice for building web application at any scale. And in this podcast, we'll focus on this Django tutorial, the basic of setting up a Django project, creating and managing some models, designing some template, and a lot more as we go along. We'll also explore some advanced feature in Django, such as API and REST, and integrate with other popular technology like React and Vue. Well, probably not in this project, so let's skip that for now. Anyways, whether you're a beginner or an experienced developer, this podcast will help you enhance your knowledge on Django and improve your web development skills. So sit back, relax, and join us in this very exciting world of Django. So today, we're going to concentrate, we're going to create a project, and every project that we're going to do are going to be taken out of real life case study, meaning that I'm going to use a case study coming from one of my customers, and we're going to look at how we approach the customer, how we developed the app, and how we deployed it, and the marketing and the products, and so on and so forth, right? So you know that whatever you're learning here, you're learning the real life application information that will actually translate into a paying business and not just a tutorial to give you a general idea. Anyways, that being said, today we're gonna work with Django, but before we concentrate on the project itself, I want us to focus on how to develop the application with a sturdy foundation, right? Just some. We're gonna do some preparation and some setting for what we're gonna do down the road, but we're gonna combine everything right off the bat, like that. When we start developing, we know that we'll have a strong foundation for our application. We'll create a development environment, and then also we'll create a deployment or a production uh, uh, um, settings, so the application is good and ready to go, to be pushed onto a production server. Anyways, so let's get started. Let me bring up our coding editor right here. There you go. So open up your Visual Studio, and then we'll select File on top right here. And then after, we'll select Open Folder. And in Open Folder, I want you to click on top on New Folder and name the name of the application that you will be creating. For myself, I created already a folder, and I named it Event Vibe Tutorial. Event Vibe because that's the name of the app that I've already created for my customer, and then the tutorial, just so I know that this is the tutorial folder for this app. Okay, so now you select the folder and press on Select Folder at the bottom right of your window. Now, in your Visual Studio, you will see right here your File Explorer, and inside of your application, folder, you will see that you've got nothing right now, right? The folder is empty. We haven't done anything yet. So the very first thing we're going to do to create our application is we're going to need to create a virtual environment, right? We want to create a file that's going to contain all the dependency and application pertain to this specific application. So, therefore, making sure that our app development environment is not coming into conflict with our local machine, local installation, right? So maybe I'm using on my local machine Python 3.2, and on my application I'm using Python 3.11, and therefore if I don't have the virtual environment, that's going to create a conflict either within the application or within my local machine with other application. So this is why we create a virtual environment, right? So to do so, in your Visual Studio, at the top of your window, you will click on Terminal, and then after New Terminal. There you go. Now, if you don't have all the dependency extension and whatnot that is required with Python and Django installed on your computer, go look at our previous tutorial, and you will see, you will find whatever you need regarding how to install Visual Studio, Python, Django, Git, and open an account on GitHub, and have everything you need to have your virtual environment or your development environment ready to go. So anyways, that being said, now let's take under account that your machine is ready to go. You've got everything installed. So you select Terminal at the top of your window and then New Terminal. And here at the bottom, you will type in, to create a new virtual environment within this repository, you will type in Python -m venv, and then you will name your virtual environment the name that you wanted to choose. For myself, I always name it venv. So therefore, anyone on my team that is collaborating onto my application know that this folder venv is where our virtual environment is located. So after typing in that code, you press enter. And now you have, if you see at the top of your window into your file explorer, you will see the venv folder being created. And within your venv, you will see you have a script folder. And then after, you've got an activate file. So what that translates to is now we're going to activate this virtual environment, right? And to do so, we're going to go, right, very simple. First bit of code will be the name of the virtual environment. So venv, then backslash, and then after it will be script with an S, right, for the folder where the script are located, right? Backslash, and then after we want to activate our virtual environment, and to do so, all we need to do is type in activate. That's it. And then we press on enter. Now we did so, and if we can see right here, we have the virtual environment activated, and we see that it is activated by the name showing up on the left-hand side of our command line, right? And it will show up at every line that we do. So let's clear our terminal, and now we have a virtual environment created. And now we're gonna go into our into our source control, our Git version control, and we will go commit our virtual environment. So we right away activate our version control, and then after we'll push our app to our GitHub account. Now, if you do not know or you have not activated your Git version control app on Windows, we have other tutorials you can go look at. Same for GitHub, how to create an account and attach it or create a connection with your Visual Studio and your repository. So there's other tutorials, you can go look at them. But for right now, we'll just type in init commit, and then we'll put it venv, so we know that our initial commit is about our virtual environment, right? And then after, we'll commit it, and then it will ask you, there is no stage change to commit. Would you like to stage all of your change and commit then directly? So right here, we need to stage all of these things. So we can either go and manually stage them, or right here when we get problem, we just select always, and the system, anytime we commit, will stage the file first, and then after we'll commit, and then after we will sync our change with our GitHub account. And again, as I said earlier, just if you don't know or you haven't done the connection with your GitHub or created a GitHub account, just press pause, go look at the tutorial, and come back to this tutorial. So there you go. Now we've committed our virtual environment, and then also we've pushed it to our GitHub. So now we know that all of our connection and everything is set up, so we have the proper workspace to develop our new application. And now we're going to start creating an app. We're going to start to create, we're going to start coding with Django, now that we have our virtual environment activated. And anytime that you close your terminal, you need to remember that you need to activate your virtual environment again, okay? So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to install within our virtual environment our dependency for our application. The first one, we're going to do it in 3 steps, right? And each step has multiple dependency. The first one is we're going to install Django framework. We're going to install Pillow, and we're going to install Django extension, right? And so now we're going to install Django. We're going to install Pillow, and we're going to install some Django extension. The first one, Django, it's a framework, a high-level web framework that allows us to create web application very, very quickly using the very powerful programming language that is Python. By using Django and Python, it provides us with many built-in features that makes our job a lot easier and allows us to deploy our application a lot faster. Then after, we'll install for Django the Pillow dependency. And Pillow is a fork imaging library that allows us to manipulate and save different image file and format into our Django application. For ourselves or for our users. And then after, we'll install a Django extension, which is a collection of a useful extension for Django, such as a Shell Plus, which provides an enhanced, that provides us an enhanced version of the Django shell with auto completion, and Run Server that allows us to test our application locally, therefore minimizing our costs, and we don't need to get a production server right away. And then we also minimize the amount of time that we push to the server, therefore reducing our bitrate transfer charge and whatnot. So this is why we're going to be using Django extension. And to do so, and also, Django extension, anytime that we save a file, it'll automatically reload the server, so we don't have to shut it down and start it back again and whatnot. So that those are the dependencies that we're going to be installing. And so to do so, again, we're going to now, in Python, we have a pip installer. So we're going to call in pip, and we're going to ask it to install, right? So pip install. Now, Django is case sensitive, so you're going to type in Django with a capital D. Then after pillow, all lowercase. And then after Django hyphen extension, extension with an S, right? And when that is done, we press enter. And now we've just started to install Django's dependency into our virtual environment. So as we can see right now, it's working, it's doing what it has to do. And once we can see our command prompt allowing us to enter a new line of code, we know that the execution was terminated and everything was done properly, unless it gives us an error code. And now we're going to install a new set of dependency. And these ones are going to be for Heroku. Heroku is our production server. As if you remember earlier, I told you guys that we're going to do some legwork ahead of time in preparation for down the road. And this is one of them right now. We don't need to install those dependencies right now to build our application. But while we are in the process of setting up our application, might as well have a due process that we follow vigorously every single time to know that our application is well built. And to do so, we are going to be installing Django on Heroku, Gunicorn or G-Unicorn, Python-.env, then Python-decouple, and then Django underscore Heroku. So Django on Heroku, this package provides utilities to help us configure our application to run on the Heroku server. Then Gunicorn or G-Unicorn is a Python web server gateway interface, a WSGI, which is an HTTP server that is commonly used for running Django application in production, right? And then after we have our Python -env, and this package allows us to read our virtual environment variables in a .env file. And then after we have Python decouple, this is a package that helps us separate some settings from our source code, allowing us to store some setting in a environment variable in a separate setting files. And this you'll see very early into our development portion of our app, how that's going to work. And then after we have Django Heroku package, and then this package provides a utility and tools to deploy our Django application on the Heroku platform, right? So again, we're going to call on to pip to come and install, right, our dependency. And the first one is going to be Django underscore on underscore Heroku. Okay. Then after space G-Unicorn or Gunicorn. And then after space Python hyphen dot env. And then after we have Python hyphen decouple. And then after we have Django underscore Heroku, right? So pip install Django on Heroku, Gunicorn, Python-.env, space Python hyphen decouple, and then Django underscore Heroku. Once this is done, we press enter. And now those dependencies are going to get installed. And while this is happening right now, this might take a little bit of time. We have quite a few of them, 5 of them. We're going to go right now to the next one that we're going to install afterwards. The next step is we're going to be installing our Amazon WSS3 dependencies, so we can also store our static files and our image files onto WS Amazon storage server. Sorry about that. So the first one we're going to be installing is going to be Django storage, which that package provides a way to use different storage backend for Django to manage our static and media files, as I was saying. And then after we'll install Bodo 3. That's a package in Python SDK that's interacting with our Amazon Web Service, right, the AWS, and will be used to store our backend Django storage, as I said again, static and media files and whatnot. So to do so, it's going to be very simple. We go in again, we call on to pip install. Then after, we're going to type in Django hyphen storage with an S, and then after Bodo 3. That's it. So we press enter, and now we're going to be installing those dependency onto our app. There you go. That was simple. Now we've installed most of everything that we needed for our application. If we see right here in our source control or our version control right now, we've got over 7,000 files, right? So might as well just commit them as we have the base of our dependency installed. So we're going to go commit. And then after, we're going to type in base dependency, right? Base dependency. So by doing so, we've committed a point in our application, right? Like a stepping stone or a milestone. We created a certain part of the application, and essentially right now what we want to do is to commit it, that if we make a mistake in the next portion of our app development, then we can always revert to that part of the to that version where this was done, so we don't have to start all over again, right? So commit base dependency, and then we just commit it. But for right now, we don't need to push it to. We don't need to push our app to our GitHub account right now. We just need to commit it. We'll just wait for it to be done. 7,000 change to be committed. Might take a minute or two. So now that our application has been committed and we've created the base of our app, now we're gonna start coding pretty much. The first thing that we want to do is we're gonna start a project within our event vibe, within our folder of the event vibe tutorial. And often people will call the project the name of their application, but for myself right now, I'm gonna name the project config, and I do this with every application that I develop, because the project essentially contains all our config file to run our application. So by calling it config, again, everyone on my team knows where to look, and it's good to have a symmetry when we're building application, so it is easier to do our debugging and troubleshooting. So anyways, to start our project, what we're going to do right now is we're going to type in Django -admin, right? Start project, and then after we're going to type in config, and then not config, config, and then we're going to put in a dot. And the reason why, so by putting a dot at the end of our config name application, well, config space dot, is it creates a new Django project in the current directory with the name config. The dot at the end tells Django to create the project file within the current directory instead of creating a new directory with the project name, right? So here, I'll show you the difference, right? If we go right here and then we just type in config, right? We go like this, we type in config. So now it creates a folder config, and within that folder, it'll create another folder named config, right? So it goes config, config. So let's remove that. That's not what we want. Let's do this line of code again, and now add our dot at the end. So now we'll see we created a folder config, but when we open up that folder, all of the files are in there, right? So it's not a folder within a folder. It's that folder that is called config. So that's why the dot at the end of the config. Now afterwards, our next line of code is we're going to create an app within our project. So we're going to type in Python, right? Manage manage.py. And the reason why manage.py, if you look right here, you see at the top in our file explorer, we'll see the manage.py file. And this, from now on, anytime we work within the Django application, we're going to call in the manage.py file to manage whatever code we're executing. So we go Python manage.py and then start app. And then after, we'll whatever name we want to give to our app. And for myself, the application event vibe, I'm going to call it event vibe. So Python manage.py start app event vibe. For yourself, you can name your app whatever you want. And then you press enter. Okay, so now that we've done all of this, we've created our app. We've configured, or we've created, a configuration folder as our project for our app. Within that, we contain all the setting files that we need to control our application. Then we've created an app called event vibe within our app directory. And this is where most of the magic is going to happen. But before we go any further, how about we test our application and see what we've done so far and see if everything is working fine. So to do so, we'll go Python manage.py, then run server. There you go. So by doing so, now we've just started the server. As you can see right here in our terminal, and it's letting me know that the server is listening on the address 127.0.0.1 port 8000. So to get it started, you can press on Control on your keyboard and click on this address, and then in your browser you will see a page is being loaded, and it's letting you know that right now your installation worked successfully. Congratulations, your application is running. There's nothing in it. You can't do really anything about with the application other than maybe going to read some Django documentation. Or if you want to know how to create a poll application, they've got a little tutorials here, and then after you can connect with the community. But within itself, the application doesn't do anything, but it's letting you know that it's running on the server and everything is running fine. So yeah, you've just hit a milestone. You've created the base of your application. So we'll go back into our source control right here. And then in our message prompt, we will type it again, commit, and then open up the parentheses, and we'll type in base app. So I'm letting myself know right now that I've installed everything for my base application. From this point on, I can start developing for whatever I am doing. So I'll commit this right here, and for the heck of it, also I'll sync it to my GitHub account. So there you go. So now my application is going to be synced on GitHub. So if there's ever anything that happens to my local machine, well, at least I didn't lose all of my work. And again, I can also collaborate with other programmers. So everything is set up for me right now to work properly. So really, this is the first portion of our tutorial on Django. We've basically set up the base of our application. Our next step is going to be basically to adjust our settings and start from there. So I hope you guys liked this tutorial. Please like, share, comment this video. That helps me going. And if you guys have any comment or any suggestion, please feel free to put them in the comment, and I'll be more than happy to reply to you guys. And until then, you have a good one. Bye bye.